And honestly, what the fuck does women's oppression have to do with me handling a bill at a restaurant or at an activity where I am trying to possibly get with a certain babe? Absolutely fucking nothing. Because whatever she's mentioned in relation to marriages, in relation to, I don't know, taking care of children, in relation to male predators, like y'all talk about how you're emotionally aware and you've gone to therapy so that you can avoid predators. Why the fuck am I paying for them?
The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
Welcome to the Breakdown Podcast, where I talk about love, sex, and relationships from a guy's perspective, as well as a bunch of other guy shit. The man on the mic is a man who likes his women the same exact way he likes his yogurt. He is also a man who might find it hard to breathe if you've got that asthma. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B, and I am here to talk to the women. Yes, ladies, this is an episode that I am basically dedicating to at least educate some of you, or at least talk to some of you that might be all up in your feelings about some things. So best believe I may sound nice right now, but that doesn't mean that I'll be nice for most of the episode. Actually, it might feel like a bit of an attack. And considering that it might seem a little bit sexist, let me just try and paraphrase and say this episode is more about education than it is even just about the women. Because I feel like whatever it is that I'm going to be discussing, in as much as it is going to center heavily around women, it is something that does affect both genders, or at least it involves stuff that affects both genders. Because, well, stuff that affects women ends up affecting men at some point in time or in some way, shape, or form. And considering the contents of what I'm going to discuss on this episode, whether I'm ranting about it or it's part of the main topic, I feel like it would be better if I just became a little bit unhinged. Not too much, just a little bit unhinged. So for those of you all that aren't ready for that, well, this is your warning to just prepare yourself, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, because I might be a little bit blunt in some places here and there. But at least by the time you get to the conclusion, it'll probably sound a hell of a lot better, alright? Although, with that said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you like it. So if you like it, if you don't like it, if you have a different sort of feedback, or if you'd even want to suggest, something that might be related or completely unrelated to what I'm talking about in this episode, then the social media links are usually in the description below. The DMs are always open, and I would be more than happy to see what it is that you would, give me as feedback. And, when you end up on any of the social medias, a nice follow would be appreciated, because having lots of followers and like online credibility and shit, helps with like bringing in other guests and everything. But all in all, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you listen all the way till the end. Now, I do need to get the show on the road, and I want to start things off by bringing back something that I discussed in the previous episode. Now, during the main topic of the previous episode, I featured a clip where a woman was busy talking about how she went for a singles event, and after that event she concluded that the bar is in hell because there was a point in time where they played a game of agree or disagree, and apparently a majority of people, both men and women at that event, agreed, or at least were disagreeing with the idea that the man should pay for the first date. So it was something that she spoke about, and she said that she didn't want to address why a man should be paying for the bill. But, she decided to come back, alright? There was a part 2. She decided to continue this entire thing. And I did mention towards the end of last episode that it's something that I would want to discuss, because in the part 2, she decided to elaborate further on why she believes that men should be paying for dates. Now, I have the clip here and I want to play it, then I can get into my thoughts on it, because I don't know if she really managed to make a convincing argument, but you know what? Let me let the clip play, then I can give my thoughts on the entire thing. So, without further ado,
the world is literally built for and around men, and we're still arguing about who's paying on the first date. Men want the conversation around finances to stop at, women have jobs now, they should pay their fair share so badly. Well, the conversation can't even start there, because guess what? Gender pay gaps still exist, and they're worse than you think. And pay gaps are just the tip of the iceberg. In my last video, I talked about going to a singles event where the majority of people believed that men shouldn't have to pay on the first date, and I didn't have the bandwidth to explain why that bothered me. I'm finding the bandwidth now. I can think of at least 3 books I've read that explain why women are still at such a great disadvantage in our current society. I'm not just pulling these facts out of thin air, but here's just a few factors that continue to affect women negatively, financially, and otherwise. On average, women are still earning 83 cents for every man's dollar, and this gap gets wider when you factor in race. Women's labor is more likely to be underpaid, undervalued, or outright unpaid. Women are more likely to take on the burden of childcare and elder care, which are both labor intensive. Wives are more likely to stay and care for their husbands when they receive a terminal diagnosis. Meanwhile, men are more likely to divorce and leave their wives when they get sick. Women experience ageism and lookism more than men. And men are literally our predators. The majority of violent crime committed against women are by men. And the majority of incarcerated women are in jail for defending themselves or family members against violent and aggressive men. And their sentences are longer! So yes, I'll say it again for the folks still swimming in the dating pool, the least men can do is pay.
Okay. Now, I'm not gonna lie, out of everything that she said, I think the only part where I could say I fully agreed with her was that point where she was asking, we're still arguing about who's supposed to pay on the first date, and from there now it's basically downhill, because okay. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like every single thing that she said regarding why it is she says, or at least why it is she believes that men should pay for the date, is in no way, shape, or form related to the date. Like, the only 2 things that are in some way, shape, or form related to the whole discussion of why a man should pay for the date, and even then, like, one of them is like very, very far-fetched. I'm basically reaching with that one, is the part where she was talking about the gender pay gap and the whole bit of lookism or looksism, if that's what she wants to call it. And the reason why I'm saying that they are in some way, shape, or form related and everything else isn't, is because I'm basically just trying to get something that is in some level like nearly related to why it is a man should cover the bill for the date. Now, the whole gender pay gap thing. First of all, the gender pay gap was actually debunked. It's been debunked many times. It is not based off of gender, it is mainly based off of profession. Professions that women tend to lean more into don't pay as much as a lot of the ones that a lot of men may lean more towards, which is usually around the side of STEM and more sort of technical roles, which will probably pay more. Women usually tend to lean a little bit more towards service and more people-oriented roles, which may not pay as much. So it's not really a gender pay gap issue. It is literally your choice of profession and whether it is profitable enough to give you a lot of income. And even if you were to disprove every single thing that I've said regarding the whole issue of the gender pay gap, just think about the fact that you may be working in the same exact company, in the same exact field with someone who is of a different gender, and you guys will probably be paid the exact amount of money. Not unless if one of you decided to go and negotiate for a higher salary, or the other one is busy getting extra perks, that might come as a result of them probably having a lot better of a relationship with the boss. But for the most part, last I checked, usually there is not supposed to be a pay discrepancy of 2 people of the same role in the same company doing the same exact thing. But anyways, that said, the other bit that I brought up was lookism, which I don't think it's even really a term. The closest thing to that is actually pretty privilege. Now, pretty privilege makes sense, okay? Pretty privilege can get you actually paid more, but the point here is, it's not like pretty privilege works mostly for men. It's mostly working for women to help them actually scale up and do a little bit better. There's not that many pretty boys that are getting promotions because they're good looking. Yes, maybe they might appeal a little bit to a couple of women here and there, but considering that most of the people in upper tier positions are men, it's not like they're trying to elevate the pretty boy. So if anything, lookism or pretty privilege actually benefits more women than it ever really does men. So even as a point, it's absolute shit. And it just goes on to prove my point that I mentioned in the previous episode, which is the fact that there is little to no logical reason for a man to cover the entire bill of a date in today's day and age. Like, there's nothing to actually justify the idea that a man should be paying for the date. Now, I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen. I'm just saying that there's nothing to logically justify it. And every single thing that she's brought up is just a bunch of cope to talk about the oppression that women have gone through. And honestly, what the fuck does women's oppression have to do with me handling a bill at a restaurant or at an activity where I am trying to possibly get with a certain babe? Absolutely fucking nothing. Because whatever she's mentioned in relation to marriages, in relation to, I don't know, taking care of children, in relation to male predators, like y'all talk about how you're emotionally aware and you've gone to therapy so that you can avoid predators. Why the fuck am I paying for them? Like, if you're trying to put a predator tax because men are predators, then go and date a fucking male predator and tax them. I'm a good man. I do my shit right. I'm a secure dude. Why the fuck am I paying tax for him? Like, that's absolute garbage. So all in all she has done is basically prove my point, which is that there is no logical reason. And like I said, I'm not saying that y'all should go Dutch. I'm not saying that the man shouldn't pay or that the man should. Whichever side you choose is entirely up to you, and whatever it is that makes you happy and whatever it is the other side is willing to take. But don't act like there's logic behind this to justify whatever it is that you would want to happen. Because as we've already proven at this point in time, all y'all are doing is just stuffing in a bunch of cope. But anyways, with all of that said, because I feel like I've already discussed this well enough, I am going to leave it at that and move it on to our main topic of this episode. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but there's a statement that I've heard online a couple of times, and more often than not, you find out over time that it's a particularly true thing, and it is the statement of, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And it's something that I've heard mentioned time and time again online and also just openly. And it's something that I believe to some degree, if not 100%, is actually true. But it seems like, especially whenever you're in the fields, you usually want to try and disprove it. You usually want to try and see if you can change someone's mind and make them want something different or desire something different because you want that different thing. You just want them to get on board with it. And some of the biggest culprits of this are women. Granted, men also do end up being culprits of this as well. So when I saw a Reddit post posted up by a woman regarding a situation very, very similar to this, I figured it might as well be a good time to talk about it. Now, the title of the post is, "I wish I believed him when he said he wasn't ready." And honestly, it is a particularly interesting read, so I'm going to read it, then I'll get into my thoughts on the entire thing. So it says, and I quote, "I came across something today that hit me deep. It said, when the right person comes along, they'll be ready. They'll face their fears and make time. Readiness isn't about circumstances, it's about desire." And honestly, it made me think about this guy I've been involved with. I believe two people don't meet for no reason, but I realize now that I might have romanticized the whole thing. He told me early on that he wasn't ready for anything serious, but that was after we'd already gotten physical. I know that's why I messed up. I guess part of me hoped maybe things would change, that maybe he'd see something in me that made him want to be ready. A few days ago, I told him I was feeling really low, like I was craving some love or emotional connection. And his response was just, "Sleep it off. You'll be okay by tomorrow." And that hit me hard. It's sinking in that he's not emotionally available, and I don't know why that realization hurt so much, even though he kind of told me from the start. I just feel stupid and sad, and like I should have protected my heart a little bit more. And honestly, I don't know why I keep attracting these kinds of guys. It's the same cycle over and over. Men who just want something physical. I try to convince myself that I'm fulfilled on my own, that I don't need anyone, but my desire for a real romantic connection never really goes away. It's like a quiet ache that never stops. End quote. Okay. Now, with everything that I've read, I do have a couple of thoughts that I need to put down. Although, before I can get to that, I do want to highlight a particularly interesting comment, which when I read it, I actually found it to be quite funny. And it was a babe who said, and I quote, "They don't want to reciprocate after all that, which is sad. I feel for you. Honestly, this shit feels like a pandemic." And okay, I don't know, maybe it's just me, because I find this actually quite laughable. Like, I remember how not too long ago, babes were busy talking about how just because he pays for the date doesn't mean I have to sleep with him. And in this situation, it's kind of an instance where, oh yeah, I gave him pussy, why couldn't he reciprocate with commitment? We pay for the date, but we shouldn't expect sex. But if we get sex, we better be ready to give the commitment. Like, that shit is wild though. Like, I know it's not like every woman believes this or says this, but like that feeling of entitlement or that feeling of expectation because you gave something valuable is definitely on both genders. It's not just stuck to one, and it's pretty interesting to see it. But anyways, that was on a lighter note, so let me just leave it and actually move on to what I really wanted to talk about. Now, first of all, from what I read, especially in that first paragraph, the whole thing of when a man is ready to be with you, he will make himself ready. So it's more a matter of desire than want. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that thinks this, but I personally believe that the single biggest issue for a lot of single women, as far as social media giving the wrong advice is concerned, is statements like this. Because if you remember a few years ago, like maybe 2-3, you could even extend it to maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, there used to be this statement that a lot of people would say online. And this was actually a statement that women mostly used to use online, where they were like, if he wanted to, he would. And they would use that to show that, oh, you know, men can go above and beyond for you. It's just that they don't want to. And it was this constant statement that would be used in so many different interactions and in so many different situations, whereby a man was not able to give the woman something that they wanted. And there's a certain ignorance, or should I say ignoring of circumstances, that such statements usually make, that is wildly misleading to a lot of women as far as expectations is concerned, because it creates a scenario to think that guys just don't want to do things because they don't. Yet in reality, that's not really the case, and circumstances do play a very, very massive role in a guy's decision to commit or not commit, and in most people's decisions to do just about anything. Yes, there are some circumstances that are negligible, so you know, strength of will can probably conquer through that. But especially for guys, and when it comes to things like commitment, most secure guys, most emotionally aware or emotionally healthy men usually would prefer to be in a good position circumstantially and internally for them to date. So making such statements is usually not good. And the reason I bring that up is because the whole bit where she says when the right person comes along, they'll be ready, they'll face their fears and make the time. Readiness isn't about circumstances, it's about desire. She's basically using what I would call a remastered, sugar-coated version of the statement, if he wanted to, he would. And that is very, very misleading, because imagine if someone is going through healing and is not in the best emotional position to get into a relationship, or maybe he's not in the best financial position to get into a relationship. Does the whole if he wanted to, he would make sense there? Like, if the guy doesn't feel like he's ready to financially commit, considering that relationships are an investment, does that mean that he's wrong for saying that he's not ready? Like, there's so many instances where you will find that guys will want to be with a particular babe. They will see a babe, they're like, you know what, this is a gem and I would love to be with her, but this and this circumstance is what's holding me back. Like, there's so many instances of that happening, and I can even say that even from some of my own personal experience, and actually admit that there are times where the right babe comes along, but it's not the best time. Like, this would be an amazing babe that you would want to do life with, that you absolutely adore, but you can't take it to the next level because circumstantially you're just not in the right position as a guy. And it happens a lot, and us guys usually will choose to turn things down. The problem is sometimes people just don't like getting the point, all right? And this babe is a particularly good idea of that. Like, she will get there, she's being told, okay, I'm not ready for a relationship, I don't want to get into any sort of commitment, and the baby's like, you know what, no, maybe I can convince him. And then she decides, you know what, let me ride him because I guess the power of pussy is amazing and it'll make him change his mind. And it's a trap that a lot of babes have fallen into. It's something that a lot of babes will tend to do, and it ends up coming back to bite them in the ass when the guy still sticks to his word and says that he's not ready to commit. And of course, there's other instances where the guy just doesn't want to get into a relationship with you specifically, all right? And still, the same instance will occur. But you find that babes will almost always hop on to that because it's like they believe that that's what will save them. And I'm gonna sound like a bit of an asshole here, and I'm gonna sound pretty blunt when I say this, but ladies, pussy will never be the only thing that'll make a man stay. Like, this is actually a fact. Pussy will never be the only thing that'll make a man stay with you or choose to commit to you. And I say this knowing full well that yes, there are some guys that'll go, they shag a babe once, and all of a sudden it's like now they suddenly want to start a family and they're super in love and they want to get married and shit. I am telling you, pussy is not something that will make a man stay. It's never usually just pussy. And the reason that I am saying that is because, and this is gonna sound a little bit crude, but it's just pussy. Like, pussy is just pussy. And I guess probably most women won't understand what I mean when I say pussy is just pussy. But for the guys, more so guys that have experience with multiple women, especially over a much shorter period of time, like, they'd probably understand me when I say that pussy is just pussy. But even for the guys that haven't had as much experience and probably might not get, I'll explain it for everyone else so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming at with that statement. When it comes to having sex, pussy is usually amazing, not necessarily just because it feels good to be inside, but mainly because of the person you're doing it with and how interactive or how active they are whenever you're doing it with them. So even though you hear someone saying that they give great pussy or you know, a certain babe or so and so has great pussy, it's not really about the vagina itself as much. You can probably give that like maybe about 20-25%, maybe at the most 30 out of the entire pie of great sex. But the rest of it is going to be covered by whether the person is attracted to your body or just whether the person is attracted to you in general, and how active or interactive you are when it comes to doing it. So in theory, or you know, as a couple of other guys who've probably practiced this will probably tell you, even though you sleep with about 7 different women, like, you know, like different like body shapes and sizes and, you know, looks and everything, the feeling of pussy will be relatively the same. Okay, so it's not really something that is that different from person to person. So from that's where now I get the point of pussy is just pussy. It's almost like having lemonade in a restaurant, in that yes, you can go to this restaurant and you'll get lemonade and it tastes great, and the other one might not taste as sweet, and the other one might be a little bit more sour here and there, but for the most part you're just having lemonade. And it's not like you would choose to stick to one restaurant simply because of how good the lemonade is. And okay, maybe the analogy might not be all that great, but I think I'm kind of driving the point home. Like, in essence, it's basically very simple, because the lemonade is like what? Cold water or just water, maybe a couple ice cubes, some lemon, maybe throw in a mint if you want to be a bit fancy, and some version of a sweetener. Like, it's not like it's anything all that complicated that can be made into something that's wildly different. And the same thing applies to pussy. So thinking that that's what's going to retain a dude is a massive misinterpretation or oversimplification of what it is that can keep a man as far as you going to sleep with him is concerned. And I'm sure there's a babe or a couple of babes that are gonna be like, Denver, you're chatting a bunch of shit. Oh, I know this guy, or I've been with this guy, or there's a friend of mine who's with this guy who says that he's with a babe because she has some of the best pussy in the world and he can't leave her, blah blah blah. And yeah, like, you'll hear guys saying that as well. Like, there's guys who'll say, yo, this babe has some of the best pussy on the planet and I would not want to leave it behind. And yeah, you know, they're probably true to a certain degree, but here's the thing with guys, all right? Guys will never commit to a single attribute, or how should I put it? Guys will never commit to someone simply because of one single attribute. It's always going to be a package. So you kind of have to come as a package deal for the guy to be like, you know what, I would want to commit to this. I would want to be in a relationship with this person. And this is something that you will notice time and time again. So even for the person that believes that their pussy is what managed to keep the dude, I'll give you a very simple example of why you might think that that's the case and why that's not entirely the case. So let's say you meet a guy, you know, the both of you guys are attracted to each other, you start talking, there's pretty good vibes, eventually like you guys organize for like maybe a date or not, or you can even skip the date and the guy just comes over to your place and, you know, you make a meal for him, he eats, and then you all just chill for a bit, then you end up shagging, then let's say he spends the night, or you spend the day together, and then at some point he wants to leave, and then you guys do it again, and then you make for him, like, let's say, a hearty breakfast, and then he's super happy, and then you guys make out for a little bit, then he bounces, and he likes it so much that he comes back again and again and again. So let's say in like 2 weeks he's at your place, say maybe 5 or 6 times. So technically he's going there almost every other day. And then at some point the guy is like, yo, I really want us to be more than just what we're doing right now, and I'd really like you to be my girlfriend. All right. It seems pretty abrupt, it seems pretty quick, but there's a lot of people who've gotten into relationships like that. But let me explain to you exactly why it's not just the pussy. Even though the guy says, oh, she has some of the best pussy ever. All right. From that package deal, where you think it's just the pussy is probably the standout feature, or it might be one of the best features there. But you find that this guy is attracted to you, all right? So you are an attractive person to him, or you have a gorgeous body, or both. Then there's the part where you are very hospitable, you are very kind maybe, so you cooked for him and he liked that. There's also the part where you guys were vibing pretty well, so there's good chemistry between the both of you. And then now there's the bit where you guys had sex and it was absolutely amazing. So preferred body type, he liked to shag. So in that entire experience, the guy has gotten a package deal. So he has seen the entire package and he wants that package deal, or a special bundle if that's what you want to call it. And that package deal is essentially with you. So he is going to commit to you because of that package deal, because of that special bundle, not because of the one thing in that bundle. One thing in that bundle might stand out. One thing in that bundle might be the thing that he sings about. But there's all of these other things that made it worthwhile. All right. So that pussy that you think is so great is not so great on its own. It's because it's being supported by a bunch of other things here and there that make you seem like a great package of a person. All right. And to kind of conclude all of this, all I'm going to tell the ladies, but just generally anyone that feels like they're in this position time and time again, learn to take people's decisions at face value. Okay. No matter how much love you have to give, no matter how much love you feel like you have to give, no matter how much love you have to give, if the other party or person isn't ready or willing to receive it, you'll only end up hurting yourself. All right. You will only end up hurting yourself. All right. Or you'll probably end up getting some pretty good dick or pussy, whichever it is that you like. But all in all, maybe I could be wrong about this. Maybe I could be right about it. Maybe you have a different sort of feedback. Either way, I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open. On IG, it is at the breaktime_podcast. On Facebook, it is at the breaktime podcast. On X, it is at bagakthed. And on Bluesky, it is at the breaktimepod.bsky.social. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.
But what I believe is that if you put a pastor and a prostitute in one room, one is likely to convert the other.